Okay, everyone, it's 2:02, so I'm going to kick off the webinar today. Welcome everyone to today's Corporate Giving Forum and our second one for 2021. I'm Jo Kelly, Good2Give's Chief Customer Officer, and I will be the facilitator for today's webinar. Just to let you know, this forum is being recorded and there will be time for questions at the end. First up though, I would like to introduce Lisa Grinham, Good2Give CEO, who will say a few words and do acknowledgement of country. Thanks, Lisa. Lisa, unmute.
I will unmute myself. Thanks, Jo, and welcome everyone. We're so pleased you've joined us today. I would like to acknowledge the diverse traditional owners of the lands, on the many lands on which we all meet today. For me, that's Camaragal country in Sydney. And I would like to pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. There has been so much that has challenged us in the last 18 months, both personally and professionally. And one of those challenges has been around creating and maintaining connections. Connections with our family, with our friends, and of course, connections with our work colleagues. And at Good2Give, one of the issues that's always top of our mind is ensuring that we can make it easy for companies and their people to connect and to give to charities whose services, I must say, have never, ever been so vital. Now, Australians and New Zealanders, we're a generous bunch. Our heritages of helping a mate when they're in need continues to resonate today. We saw this trait in the incredible outpouring of generosity when 1 in 2 people gave to support charities during the bushfires. And Good2Give was particularly proud to have donated $8 million to charities during that time. More recently, when the news reached Australia of the devastation that COVID is having on the people of India, you and your people gave, and to date, more than $500,000 has been donated to charities working on the ground in India. As the COVID crisis sadly ramps up in Sydney, I'm sure we'll see further more support coming in the coming months from the corporate sectors to support those in need. Now, we're constantly impressed by the incredible work that you do, our clients, inspiring and motivating positive attitudes towards giving within your communities. We know that the job can be challenging, especially in uncertain times, and we're respectful of the dedication and the resilience that it requires. So please know that Good2Give is here to help you find the best way to achieve your goals by delivering practical solutions that make giving easy. Today, I'm so pleased to be showcasing some of the talented Good2Give team. Collectively, you'll hear from, believe it or not, nearly 60 years worth of experience across Good2Give's products and services. We do sometimes find that clients are quite surprised at the range of services we offer. So we thought we'd take the time today to share with you the insights around what makes a successful CSR program, no matter what tactical elements you choose to employ. And anyone who knows me knows that I'm passionate about what we do at Good2Give and the impact we're able to achieve through our wonderful clients and charities. 5 years ago, we set ourselves a goal to deliver $300 million to not-for-profits by 2022. And I'm pleased to say at the end of June, only a couple of weeks ago, we tipped into $270 million being donated to charities across Australia and New Zealand. So I hope today that you leave with a few gems that inspire you. And with that, back to you, Jo, to introduce our speakers.
Jo, you just need to unmute.
Thanks, Lisa. Just wanted to introduce our other 4 speakers for today. We've got Chris Wishart, Nikki Anstis, Donna Riley O'Neill, and Anna Draffin. So our topic today is different ways to grow giving and explore the various ways people can give, whether it's time, money, team-based giving, or share giving. So to kick off, I'm going to ask Chris Wishart, one of our most experienced client relations managers and our expert on advisory. Chris, if a company was thinking about having community partners, what should they think about first?
Thank you, Jo, for the introduction. And I think that the first thing that's really important to think about is to review your business and sustainability or CSR strategy. If you can successfully align these strategies, it will result in well-aligned and successful partnerships, and that will generate sustainable social impact in the community. Thinking about why you want to partner with a community organisation is also really important. Is it for business outcomes or impact in the community, or a combination of both? This can help you decide if you're looking for a community sponsorship or a community partnership. Identifying your key focus areas that you want to have an impact in, such as environment or mental health, is also really important. Because once you've decided your key focus areas, that will help you direct the best selection process for your community partnership. For example, the selection process will be different if you're looking to partner with a grassroots organisation or a large national charity. Deciding on what investment you'll support the partnership with is key. That could be your financial budget, how much time and or skills your organisation have available, and any physical space or gifts in kinds that you could offer within the partnership. So once you've had your strategy, your key focus areas and your investment established, it's important to set up a robust selection process with strong governance. This will provide confidence in the process and the partnership by the executive and the board, and they're often the ones who need to sign off on your community partnership recommendations.
So Chris, how should a client think about selecting a community partner?
Sure, sometimes it's just about working out where to start, because there's a lot of different approaches and that there's not all one size fits every organisation. So depending on why your company is looking to establish a community partnership and the outcome and impacts that you want to have, Good2Give can provide options on that best approach to support you through either the entire process or a selection process with just components that you might need to support what you already have in place. If you have a look at who your internal stakeholders are, and either develop and or review your community partnership guidelines and key selection criteria with input from those stakeholders, ensuring that you're aligned with your business and your sustainability strategy, that's really important. Talking with other companies about their learnings, what's worked and what hasn't in selecting a community partner. Good2Give can introduce you to clients who have recently undertaken a community partnership selection process, and that I've often found is a really beneficial way to find out what might work for you. I think ensuring you've got a working framework in place with your community partner that sets up clear mutual expectations from the start of your partnership is really key. Talking about things like volunteering, logistics, reporting, police checks, working with children checks are all really important. I'm just going to share my screen with you and give you an example of one of the approaches to community partnerships. So this is just one approach. So we go through 3 different phases in this approach: discovery, partnership identification, partnership presentations, and national partnership framework. So the discovery approach can look at your community partnership guidelines and key selection criteria. You can identify long lists of potential community partners against your guidelines and key selection criteria, and develop an expression of interest. Expression of interest can either go out to a broad group of people, or it can go to a more closed group. The community organisations are shortlisted through a really robust process, and then Good2Give facilitate the process to invite them to a presentation day. Once the presentation day has been completed, we collate all of that information to inform executive recommendations so that you can select your company's new community partner. And the final point on this is really key, and it's something that we've found offers an incredible value to the partnership in the longer term and to the measurement of the success of the partnership. It's called the Community Partnership Framework. And it's a working agreement which sets out expectations for the partnership for both your company and community partners, including roles, responsibilities, codes of behaviour and commitments, and reporting requirements.
Fantastic. So Chris, what about if you're an existing client? How could an existing client think about growing giving, either within the programs they already have or think about new ways to give?
Sure. So I think all of our existing clients have a client relations manager, and we're here to help you support you growing engagement. So some of the examples are perhaps you could survey your staff and stakeholders and see how they want to give, where they want to give, and who they want to give to, and what cause areas are important to them at work and also outside the office. For example, they may not volunteer during work hours, but they weekly coach the under 10 football team, or they get teams together to participate in fund runs or raising funds for specific charities. They may be contractors who are not able to participate in workplace giving, but they support a charity too outside of work, and being able to engage with all of those different stakeholders is really important. I think enabling that engagement through the Good2Give technology platform helps you report on that collective impact in the community. Another way is to plan campaigns and engagement initiatives over the 12-month period against your key focus areas and events, and promote these during business activities that bring the people together, such as town halls and cross-team meetings. Your Good2Give client relations manager can help you strategically look at the different technology options in the Good2Give platform that you already have available to maximize this engagement offering to your staff and contractors, whilst enabling that reporting on your broader engagement. It can be through one or many of the ways that are available to give and get involved, such as workplace giving, once-off regular donations, or in times of emergencies, fundraising at work with individuals or teams, post-tax matching, so allowing people who donate outside of work to have their workplace giving donations matched, volunteering matching, giving circles at work, the collective giving, and I know that this will be touched on later, credit cards and other payment methods that are coming soon. So these are some of the ways that can increase engagement in your program with the existing technology you already have.
Fantastic. Thanks, Chris. One thing I did forget to mention right at the beginning when I opened the webinar is if you do have any questions, please use the Q&A chat function on the bottom right-hand side of your screen and submit your questions that way. So now I'm going to ask Nikki Anstis, Corporate Giving Director and most recently Client Relations Manager, to talk about workplace giving and the various ways you can think about how to give within this overarching program. So over to you, Nikki.
Thanks, Jo. We know that there are lots of different ways that people are creating positive impact in their communities. And when these activities are supported by an employer, they then become part of a workplace giving program. So when a business can provide and support a wide range of those activities, not just maybe the traditional payroll giving, much more of their workforce can be included. So it's a great way for employers to encourage giving and also understand the different ways that their employees are giving to the community and maybe what their engagement might be when they widen the program.
Fantastic. Are you able to run through the different ways to give that we have available on the Good2Give platform?
Absolutely. So hang on, I'll just pull up these slides. So we've got a few different ways at Good2Give that you can enable giving, and using our workplace giving platform, you can set up the pre-tax payroll deductions. So you can give your employees access to over 2,500 validated Australian or New Zealand based charities, and they'll gain an immediate tax benefit while the charities receive much needed regular or one-time support. You can match those donations, so set up a budget which you can adjust at any time, and it's a proven way to increase participation rates. So we encourage all of our clients to consider a matching budget as it's so effective in engagement with the program. So sometimes our clients will set up double or triple matching even for a charity partner, or an event or a special appeal. You can switch on fundraising at work. So we've got an integration with GoFundraise. That means employees can actually set up individual or team peer-to-peer fundraising pages and share it with colleagues who can donate through their pay, or friends and family who can donate via credit card and PayPal. This can add a healthy competition between teams and business units, or it could even replace a coin collection that you have, at a general morning tea fundraising event. We've now got an integration with Community, which means that volunteering is enabled on our platform. So skilled online or in-person volunteering opportunities can be found when searching under volunteering. You can sourcing volunteering opportunities as a program manager can be really time consuming and difficult. So employees are now able to seek out those opportunities themselves and actually connect with nonprofits that need help. We've got a couple of different ways to extend your matching program on the platform now. So if an employee volunteers, like Chris mentioned, maybe outside of work on the weekend to a local organisation, you can recognise this by matching their time with an hourly amount. So those funds can actually go through to the local organisation that your employee has volunteered with. If an individual or team has donated directly to a charity outside your workplace giving program, you can still recognise and support this by providing a submissions form on the platform where they can actually upload the evidence, and then it's streamlined and approved really easily as a matching payment. We also have Giving Circles at Work, which is essentially employees pooling their funds and deciding on a charity or cause to support. So this is a really collaborative process, and it gives really great opportunities for leadership and growth, as there are much stronger connections around the impact of the funds that this group of employees are working on together.
Thanks, Nikki. Could you now tell us a little bit about trusts and foundations? What are they designed to do, and what are the benefits of having a trust or a foundation account?
Sure. So as many people on the call today will know, it's typically a very time-consuming and resource-intensive process to set up and manage a corporate foundation in Australia. So our clients want a really safe, transparent, and efficient way to make grant payments out to the community. We provide this service through our community fund, the Good2Give Community Fund, and we call it our Trust and Foundation Service. So this is a public ancillary fund that enables us to set up sub-funds for your business, and you can then launch public fundraising appeals. You can sit under our fundraising licenses and collect money to distribute to multiple charities, or you can deposit funds into your tax-deductible account, and this can then be granted out to community beneficiaries in the future. We also set up trust accounts to enable non-tax deductible donations to be collected, and you can make payments out to local organisations or even individuals. All of our grant requests are validated and approved by authorised contacts with our clients, and also approved by the trustee of the Good2Give Community Fund.
Thanks, Nikki. It would be great now to share some ways that our clients raise funds into their foundation and trust accounts, just to sort of present a bit of a real picture about what goes on.
Yeah, definitely. So as mentioned before, you could just deposit funds, company funds, directly into this account and make grant payments out as you wish. However, we've got some more sort of engaging tools that you can actually use to raise funds into this account. So as you can see on the slide that I've shared, we've got a few partnerships that we work with to enable this in different scenarios for you to raise funds. So we work with Quest payment systems, and we can offer donation point tap terminals to replace coin collections and help you boost donations. Our clients have used these in retail stores, at annual events, and also in office reception areas. You could set up a corporate fundraising page with GoFundraise, and this links through your account. It can be shared publicly. It's really impactful around key appeals, events, or challenges. Your employees can actually also set up sort of individual sub-events of those fundraising pages as well, which is really great. We also have a facility called an online donation page, which is a great way to present your foundation and the charity partners that you're raising funds for.
Fantastic. Thanks, Nikki. Next up, I would like to bring Donna Riley O'Neill into the conversation. Donna is our grants manager and is very experienced in this space. She's been with us for 20 years and is probably one of the most experienced grants people in Australia. So Donna, can you tell us about why a grants program can be a really good way for an organisation to give?
Definitely, thanks, Jo. Well, grants programs can be one of the key components of any community investment program for businesses wanting to make a difference through giving. And a grant is generally once-off funding provided for a distinct purpose, which can create a really meaningful relationship between the grant maker and the grant recipient. So for companies, grant programs provide the ideal process to align giving initiatives with their corporate values, with CSR objectives, and the causes and issues that are important to stakeholders. And on the flip side, for communities, grants inject that much needed financial investment that can be a real game changer for a specific cause, program, or social issue. Managing programs that are funded by grants also provides charities and community groups the opportunity to report on specific goals, outcomes, and impacts, and allows them further opportunity to demonstrate their value to business partners and supporters. Now, bear with me, I'll just share my screen for a moment. Okay. So now when we talk about structured grants programs, predetermined parameters are set to ensure applications fit within key focus or cause areas, typically also in the location that the company operates. And the structure of the program generally falls within two categories. And the most suitable type of program will depend on the objective that the company or the grant maker wishes to achieve. So there are grant programs where the end recipient directly applies for funding. So in these instances, the applicant and recipient are the same. For example, charities or community groups or individuals apply directly to receive a grant by submitting their own application. This style of program is intended to foster relationships directly with the grant recipient or beneficiary and the community. And the other grants category is where a third party applies. So they apply for funding on behalf of another. For example, an employee nominates a recipient to receive a grant. The recipient is typically one which they've had a close connection with or perhaps volunteer with. And depending on the program, the recipient may be, again, a charity, community organisation or group, or again, in some instances, an individual. So this third-party style grant program is really particularly effective at engaging the workforce and fostering that sense of collective effort. But whatever the style of grants program, there's very often an acquittal process the recipient has agreed to and a time frame for them to provide information on things like how the funds have been used, the outcome of projects or programs. And this enables the gathering of insights and information about the impact of grants and the impact in the community, which can then be incorporated into stories and case studies to help with the future promotion of the program.
Donna, are you able to share with us a couple of examples where a grants program has been really effective?
Okay, yes, sure. Firstly, it's important to note, again, there's no one size fits all when it comes to grants programs, and we manage and administer a wide variety of programs for our clients, all of which are designed to ensure giving is efficient, well governed, and meets specific program objectives. Now, interestingly, we're seeing a trend in moving away from the traditional grants programs supporting only DGR or tax deductible charities and moving to a model that allows the program to support both DGR charities and non-DGR community organisations, with around 60% of Good2Give managed programs currently supporting non-DGR community organisations and those smaller grassroots groups. So, for example, an Australian property development company we work with has a goal to shape communities. They encourage healthy living, promote strong community connections, and provide access to lifelong education opportunities. So their foundation and grant program, now in its 8th year, help them deliver this by providing financial grants and supporting hundreds of community organisations each round. So grant applications are also increasingly becoming employees. with 44% of the programs that we administer currently resulting in grant recipients being nominated by actual employees. Now, this highlights the effectiveness of these types of programs at engaging the workforce and really fostering a sense of collective effort. It's a win for employees, it's a win for employers, and also for the community. So, for example, one digital media business we provide our services for has a successful long-standing program which provides their people the opportunity to apply for grant funding to support a charity or community group which they or their immediate family are involved with. And this type of program also affords the opportunity of finding out more about the many different community organisations that their people are involved with. And the grants are obviously then used by the successful organisations to help the people involved to do what they do best. So as we're all aware, the past year has brought with it many challenges. However, these testing times have provided a forum for many to innovate, adapt, and demonstrate great generosity. We've experienced an increase in corporate grant programs to support individuals, and in particular, supporting one's own employees with grants. So another of our clients, Accor, operating in the global hospitality space, despite having 2/3 of their hotels worldwide closed, has taken proactive measures to support its employees, including the creation of a COVID-19 special purpose fund. We've worked closely since March last year to develop the processes and channels to assist their vast network of employees, and to this day continue to administer grants to individual employees in and outside of Australia requiring financial support as a result of the COVID crisis.
So, Donna, when a client establishes a grants program, what should they keep in mind?
Well, thinking about these examples and many other grant programs, the aim is really to create, review, and fine-tune program parameters and criteria to ensure there's a sufficient number and high quality of applications in a manner also that facilitates the application, review, and selection processes, followed, of course, by the appropriate rigour and due diligence to ensure those grant funds are distributed efficiently and used as intended. So there are many different programs with varying ways of achieving this. And I like to look at a grants program as being a bit like spaghetti bolognese. There are a lot of different great recipes for how to create it.
Thanks so much, Donna. I would now like to intro Anna Draffin, who Director of ShareGift Australia. ShareGift Australia is a unique business that merged with Good2Give in late 2019 that enables both individuals and publicly listed companies to donate parcels of shares or dividends to charities. So, Anna, first up, what is share giving?
So this is obviously quite a different area to the previous speakers. I will just preface by saying this is intended as an introductory session to understanding shares and how your company may participate to offer some shared value in this space. So I'll try not to overwhelm with any technical terms, but share giving in essence is the ability for a shareholder to be able to donate a parcel of shares or proceeds arising from those shares, so things like dividends, for example, and to be able to donate those through to charities, either as an individual or by participating through a company-sponsored program. Just to understand ShareGift's role in all of this, we provide all the technical complexity in and amongst the sale of that asset. And we aggregate all those funds from thousands and thousands of transactions every year, which is effectively like an acorn fund, taking lots of small value transactions and large transactions, grouping them together so that we can maximise the impact for the end recipients, being the charities themselves. Now, why is this important? Key thing there is more and more Australians every year are looking to increase their giving or find new ways of giving. Just to give you a sense of the scale of the opportunity here, The Australian stock market, in terms of market capitalisation, is valued at over $2.5 trillion now. So if we just take a percentage, a tiny 0.5% fraction of that every year, we're talking about millions and millions of dollars in new funding that could flow through to Australian charities. ShareGift's fairly unique. We're the only service of our kind in the country, and we're modelled on our sister organisation in the UK, ShareGift UK. And we're endorsed by the ASX group and the Australian Shareholders Association. So we bring all that rigour that you would want in terms of dealing in your investment portfolios or those of your investors.
So Anna, you've talked a little bit about retail investors and you've touched on the corporate side, but how could corporates get involved? Can you give us some examples?
Yeah, so I might just share my screen, bear with me. So there's two things to bear in mind. So firstly, just from a retail point of view, key motivations for investors getting involved is relieving them of their administrative burden. We all hate the paperwork that piles up on the end of the kitchen bench, and it is often your statement with regard to different shareholdings that can sit there and move from year to year. So that's number one. And number two is because ShareGift's specific purpose is to maximise funding out to charities. Now, with regard to corporates, understanding the value that you can play in this is twofold. So firstly, we help with the management of your share registry. And for those of you that might be contemplating a corporate action, so corporate action is something like a merger or an acquisition of another company, which will typically involve a share issue or a share buyback, and a variety of other transactions. We can embed a philanthropic giving mechanism inside those schemes. So for those of you with share registries, you might have a long tail end of lots of small shareholders that is quite untidy in terms of volume. That's also going to add significant administrative costs to your bottom line each year. Now, some of those shareholders might actually be looking to exit the shareholding in an effective and simple way. And so offering the ability to donate those shares is a win-win for everyone involved. It's a low touch point for the actual individual investor themselves. From a corporate perspective, you have a cleaned up and more effective and efficient share registry. Now, on the corporate action side of the point of view, so these are the sort of one-offs, just to give you some examples of the work ShareGift's done in recent years. We were involved in the NAB Clydesdale Bank demerger a couple of years back. That's where NAB was selling off an English bank that it had, and shareholders, in very simple terms, were offered one share in Clydesdale Bank for every share that they had with NAB. What the ShareGift mechanism offered is that investors could elect to donate those shares to ShareGift instead. They received the tax deduction. We then worked with NAB and the investment bankers and brokers in behind the deal, aggregated all the donated shares, traded them over a period of 3 months, and ended up with a $100,000 gift that went to Community Hubs Australia as the recipient charity. So we had thousands and thousands of shareholders participating in that transaction. It was a really neat exit point for everyone involved.
So given this might be new information for some people, Anna, what do you suggest that people take away from this conversation?
So the key thing is to be curious around this, particularly for many of you that are sitting inside the CSR function within your company. This is just a first step in terms of acquiring knowledge. So a great place to start is talking to either your investor relations team or your company secretary team. The brilliance of share giving and engaging with your shareholders is that your board is going to take an immediate interest in this shared value offering. So this is a way where you can spread CSR DNA across the company at all levels. Investors are often overlooked in discussions inside a company with regard to CSR and shared value, but they're a really critical part of your business. And as you can see, the dollars involved here could really add up substantially to make a meaningful difference in amongst your community partnerships. The other thing is there is the potential for competitive advantage, as this is a relatively new scheme. We do have trailblazers such as NAB, Wesfarmers, Lendlease, AMP, who have all been long-term participants. And I think there's someone from Woodside also on the call. Woodside has also been a long time participating company. But this is a great way to really demonstrate those CSR values that your company holds dear. We'd love to have a discussion, and we can certainly assist with how you progress discussions internally, both with your investor relations teams and your company secretary teams.
Fantastic. Thanks, Anna. Would you mind just unsharing your screen now? So thanks, Chris, Nikki, Donna and Anna for sharing their knowledge and experience across a range of clients. I hope everyone on the call leaves with a few exciting ideas to change up or reshape their CSR program. And if you need further information, please just come to any of the people on the call. Anyone can help you. I'm just going to pause for a minute to look at some of the questions that have come through. Some are coming through on chat. I'll look at the Q&A ones first, and then I'm going to pass back to Lisa. So let me just have a look. So charity organisation, we have challenges trying to work on our brand awareness so corporates can identify us as an excellent organisation to partner with via fundraising opportunities. What is the experience from Good2Give working with denominational charities, and what are the best practices to encourage business to identify and work with such types of organisation? I'm going to pass that to Chris to answer that one. Chris.
Thanks, Jo. We often get asked that question, and we have about 2,500 charities that we work with on our technology platform. I think you need to start somewhere, and starting somewhere is with the people that you're already connected with, the donors that are already supporting you. So at every event, every initiative, every survey that you might send out, just ask them a question about them being your advocate and being engaged with you. I think that there's other opportunities for you to increase awareness. So with workplace givers, they can receive your update every month through the Good2Give platform. So you can talk about who you are and increase your brand awareness in that way. Jo, you're on mute.
Thank you, Chris. Another question that's popped up is, how would you go about increasing participation in a workplace giving program? Nikki, I'm going to pass that one to you.
No worries, thanks, Jo. Lots of our clients are talking to us about this at the moment. It's a really, really, I think, important way to grow your program. Some great ways to increase participation would be, think about setting up an appeal, or perhaps doing something a bit differently and reaching out across your organisation to encourage them onto the platform. So you've obviously already got a set amount of people that are giving, and they're probably really dedicated to that. They don't really need to be sold to in that regard. So perhaps, think about how might you be able to reach other areas of your business and go out to them with maybe an appeal, or maybe it's one of the different types of giving that we've spoken about today. So, some people might not want to give or be able to give money at this time. So they might want to look through, volunteering or some team fundraising activities where they can share with friends and family as well. So just think about the different ways that you might be able to introduce people to the platform, and I think you'll see an uplift.
Thank you, Nikki. Another question, how would you go about getting leadership buy-in to use more Good2Give services like volunteering and grants management? Who would like to pick that one up? Donna, do you want to talk about the grants management one?
Sure, no problem. Yeah, in regard to grants, I guess looking at the development of a business case to get that leadership buy-in, And some ways of doing that is around, I'm sure a lot of corporations do get asked kind of more ad hoc for funding for grants, for example. So looking at ways that you can streamline those requests for funding is a great kind of opportunity to introduce a grants program to do that, and consolidate that ad hoc funding that might already be taking place. And that can then give a more strategic approach to giving and measuring that impact as well. But obviously it's important as part of an overarching CSR strategy. So just looking at ways of pulling that information together, which Good2Give can certainly help with in developing that business case.
Fantastic. What about volunteering, Nikki or Chris? How would you go about sort of getting more leadership buy-in to consider volunteering as something that an organisation might be interested in looking at?
I'm happy to answer that, Nikki, and you can add to this as well if you need to. I was just going to say that I think with volunteering and any services that you're trying to get leadership buy-in for, that showing the industry trends is really helpful, and showing them what their competitors are doing, and showing the impact of those programs and the difference that's making in the community. I think being able to attract the best staff by having those programs and offering those programs. We know that millennials expect these programs when they come to a new workforce. So that was just what I wanted to add.
I might just add a quick point in there is perhaps you could do a trial with Good2Give. So a good way to get buy-in is not necessarily committing to maybe the full program, and actually having a look, selecting a key group of people in your business and just letting them have a try of the program, and then grow from there.
Fantastic. And there's another one here. It says, how can I grow my grants program if a lot of not-for-profit organisations are uncertain about hosting events due to the COVID-19 lockdown? Donna, do you want to go there?
I would, but I'm not. I did see that question. I'm not actually sure what the underlying meaning is there. Whether does that come from a charity or from a corporate?
Sure. But I think it's just more like, how are people thinking about, even forget about it being a grants program, but how are people thinking about fundraising when there's not really those opportunities, or certainly not in some states at the moment, where there's an opportunity to get together face to face. So what other things could people be thinking about?
Yeah, well, interestingly, as I said during my presentation, we've seen a lot of growth in grants programs despite of COVID. So, but they have had to look at different ways of perhaps managing those programs. And I know we've all heard the word pivot, but a lot of those programs have changed the way that they're doing things. One of those examples is by supporting individuals as well. I think COVID-19 has brought with it its challenges, but I don't think it's a barrier to growing any of our services or programs. We've all seen, some have in certain industries have found it difficult, but where those have kind of slowed down or in some cases ceased, there's on the flip side others that are doing, a hell of a lot more than perhaps they were in the beginning. So.
Yeah, great, thank you. Anna, sorry.
And also this could be a fantastic opportunity, particularly for charities, to try promoting ShareGiving out to your supporter base. We saw a big uptick with the Melbourne lockdown last year from shareholders stuck in lockdown, finally getting around to life administration and clearing out their paperwork. And so it's a great way to help them feel like they're achieving something, supporting charity, having some connection to the community, even though they're locked at home. And it's one less thing they have to think about in the next 12 months, and they can tick it off with their accountant. So certainly for charities to just promote ShareGiving is a really effective and new way of engaging with your donors.
Thanks, Anna. It's fantastic. One last question, and it's for you, Donna. In the grants programs you manage for clients, what checks do you put in place when approving the non-DGR status community groups?
Good question. A lot is the short answer, but we have a very rigorous process that we go through for all of our grants that we pay out. The ultimate responsibility does fall on Good2Give as trustee of those funds. So it's a critical part of the work that we do. It's also about managing reputation and brand for ourselves and of course for our clients. And the non-DGR component, we have all the kind of organisational checks that we would typically do with, for example, a DGR charity. But we also have other methods of checking and, whether it's federal or state information that we have available or local information. A lot of it is online and a lot of desk research. And it is very bespoke to each program as well. So each of our clients have different, I guess, levels of risk profile that we then work with them to develop a process that kind of meets those requirements for them as well. So there's a lot of digging. The non-DGR organisations, as I've said, we are doing a lot more of those of late, and they do actually take more time to check. They're resource-wise more time-consuming and a little bit more kind of effort on our part, but to get that money out there to those smaller grassroots organisations and groups is a really important part of what we do as well.
Thanks, Donna. This is one that I'm sure a lot of people have come across in their careers, but someone's asked the question about what are the tips on managing a senior leader who wants his or her company to support their favourite charities? Chris, you might have had some experience with that.
Yes, just a little bit. I think that if you can put in place a really robust process where you've covered all the governance required in your selection process, and it's really clearly aligned to your community partnerships guidelines and to your key selection criteria. Should someone come in from any part of the business and question your partnership selection, you can always go back with confidence to those building blocks and say, this is why we've selected these partners and this is how we've selected them. We're totally believe that your charity is amazing, but they don't actually align with our community guidelines and our key selection criteria as a business. So I think that's often a really good approach to be able to use that.
Fantastic. Thanks, Chris. This one's for you, Anna, because we know that the NAB purchase plan raised $200,000 for charity. Can you talk us through the program, please? Give us a little bit more information on it.
Yeah, so last year NAB implemented a purchase plan, so a buyback of shares. And what happened is that shareholders would opt in, and where there were small residual amounts of less than $10 left over. So the purchase plan, I can't recall the exact dollar figure, but you might have put $2,000 worth forward, and there might have been an amount of $7.05 left in your account after the purchase plan. What that having ShareGift embedded as a mechanism inside that purchase plan enabled those amounts to all be swept together. So we ended up with over 35,000 participant shareholders in that scheme, which amounted to this extraordinary amount in amongst the busyness of COVID of over $200,000 coming into consolidated funds.
Great story. Thank you very much. And it is the lucky last one because we need to move through to the next small piece. The question is, what would you say are the top three best tips for corporates when establishing a charity partnership? What do the charities wish we knew? Chris, that's a you. That's got your name on it.
Okay. I think the top 3 best tips is going back to what I started with, is really making sure that your sustainability CSR strategies are aligned with your business strategies, and getting a very clear process in place to establish that partnership. And finally, to make sure that you have a framework to work together in that partnership that's mutually understood and agreed from the beginning. What do charities wish we knew? That's a very big question. I think that charities are a lot more savvy in actually working with corporates and partnerships. And I think the biggest thing that I've discovered is charities wish that they had the opportunity to actually have discussions with those corporates during the process of a partnership selection. And we do try and include that in our process, because it's really important to make sure that they're the people who are going to be working together, that they understand each other. So I think that's one answer, but there's probably 60 others that I could try and cover in that one question.
Thanks, Chris. In fact, there is one more I'm just going to ask. An attendee has said, our business has community support partnerships and a grants program in place, but no overarching CSR strategy above this. Can Good2Give provide templates or guidance on building a strategy? And that is also a you one, Chris.
Yes, we can certainly work with you towards working out the best approach for you, because every organisation is different and each would require a different approach. Happy to do that.
Fantastic. So once again, I'd like to thank all of our speakers today, and not just for talking about the programs that we offer, but also contributing to answering the questions that we've had from attendees. I'm now going to hand back to Lisa to talk about some exciting plans that Good2Give will deliver in the coming months. So back to you, Lisa. Unmute.
Okay, thanks, Jo. And thank you to all of our wonderful Good2Give team who spoke today. Well, look, at a strategic level, much of our time is actually consumed about what the future of corporate giving looks like, and particularly at the moment when so much is actually changing in the workplace. We have actually just commissioned a really exciting piece of research with who I regard as Australia's preeminent researcher in the not-for-profit space, more strategic, and we're going to unpack the future of corporate giving. So in the first instance, we're running some focus groups with corporates, and then we'll be conducting some donor and employee research. So if you would like to be part of this research, please do email Jo Kelly, and I think Jo's just going to drop her email address into the chat room. Is that where you're going to put it, Jo? So please do reach out to Jo if you're interested in being involved in that research. Now, as well as research insights, Good2Give is also going to be delivering some new updates to our workplace giving platform that are going to make it much easier to engage workforces who are not permanent employees. So for the first time, you'll be able to consider including contractors, board directors, suppliers and customers in your giving program. So we'll be sharing more exciting news around these developments in due course. Finally, as the world continues to throw curveballs at us, there's certainly a few things that I know for certain. One is the need for the amazing charities that we have in Australia and New Zealand continues to grow. And as a result, we all need to continue to give and to encourage others to do so. And finally, we absolutely know that giving makes you feel great. And in fact, it is good to give. So let's share that goodness wide and far. Well, that's all from me. Once again, thank you all for giving up your time today, and a big shout out to our Good2Give team as well for their time. Thank you, everybody. Take care.